Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. I'm very glad you're here. I'm very glad you clicked and welcome to this channel if you're new here. My name is Martin and I do perfume reviews. And as always, I'm going to talk about more perfumes because on this channel we love to talk about perfumes. And yeah, there are a lot of fragrances I have here, and this is going to be a video where I'm talking about fragrances I recommend for date nights. Like the fragrances here are definitely on the more masculine side, or at least unisex, so not very feminine. But yes, in my opinion, most of those fragrances are, I would say, red fragrances. So you have, like, for example, blue scents, if you think about Dior Sauvage, for example, or Bleu de Chanel. And this is more or less the counterpart. Most of the fragrances here are very sexy, very spicy and oriental, because I think for me personally, I prefer this type of scents when I'm going out on a date. So yes, I don't want to waste any time. Let's get started. The first fragrance I'm going to talk about is Versace Eros Flame. So it's this one here, and this is an empty bottle. I still have it on my shelf because I just like the bottle. I think it's very sexy and I just like the color of it, and I think this is a beautiful bottle to have on your shelf. And yes, I'm definitely going to repurchase this fragrance. When it comes to the scent, it is very oriental. It is spicy. When it comes to the notes, you have lemon in here, you have pepper in here, you also have rose, patchouli, and tonka bean, and you do get the rose, but it's definitely a very spicy rose. The pepper I feel like is very dominant, and also the patchouli, but the tonka bean makes this more creamy and powdery and sweet, especially in the dry down. And I feel like this is also a great scent for going out clubbing, for example. And this is also very long lasting. It can be a little overwhelming, so you do have to keep in mind not to overspray because this can cause headache. But yes, this is the first fragrance I recommend. The next one I'm recommending is Silver Scent by Jacques Bogart, and I haven't been talking about this fragrance. I have it in my collection for 2 months now, and I haven't been wearing this fragrance a lot. But let me show the atomizer. But I'm definitely going to wear this more often, especially on date nights. This is a very old school fragrance. It is fresh and citrusy in the opening. You have the orange blossom, you have lemon in here, cardamom, lavender, you have lychee in here, and you do get the lychee. The lychee, in my opinion, is sweet, fruity, kind of synthetic, and the lychee is definitely a note that's going to. I feel like this note makes this fragrance a little polarizing. I feel like this is the lychee. If you smell the lychee, you either like it or you hate it. There's, in my opinion, nothing in between, at least from my experience. But yes, as I said, it's old school. It reminds me of Uden by Xerjoff or Sculpture by Nikos. They all have like the same or similar DNA. And it's also very powdery, creamy, very polished, especially in the dry down. And this is, I wouldn't say a safe blind buy, but definitely a fragrance you are going to enjoy. And especially if you like citrusy fragrances and fruity fragrances, it's going to give you compliments. It's also extremely long lasting. I mean, I paid under 20 euros. I feel like it was 16 or 17 euros on Notino. And it's an eau de toilette, but it performs amazing. Like I get 10 to 12 hours without a doubt. This is really a beast mode fragrance. I didn't really expect it because I wasn't sure. I was watching some reviews on YouTube and many people said that this is really long lasting, but I was like, for under 20 euro, it's very hard to find a fragrance that's really that long lasting, especially if it's not like a Middle Eastern fragrance. But yes, this is very long lasting, easy to wear. I feel like this is perfect for summer days and spring. It's also kind of bright and cheerful. So yes, this is definitely something that's going to give you compliments on a date night. The next fragrance is the third fragrance I'm going to talk about, which is Ultra Male by Jean Paul Gaultier. And I talked about this fragrance in a previous video. I did more or less a side-by-side comparison with another fragrance I'm going to mention in this video. So this too, I feel like this is a very sexy, playful, kind of bad boy scent. It's very playful. Like, this is not serious. This is not really sophisticated, but it is somehow elegant. But as I said, fun and playful. Let me show the atomizer. The atomizer is okay, and the smell, very sweet. Like, really extremely sweet. It has the bubblegum sweetness. You have the pear in here. You have lavender in here. You have the mint in here. And I really like it because it's sweet, but also kind of fresh. You do get the lavender, and you also get vanilla in the dry down. In my opinion, not a safe blind buy. So you do have, I would recommend you to try this fragrance if you have the chance to try this one. Also very long lasting, even though this is an eau de toilette, but most of the Jean Paul Gaultier fragrances I have tried are really long lasting. So they really know what they're doing, and not really that expensive. I feel like you can get this fragrance for around 50 euro. Just always depends where you're buying it. This was a present, but yeah, I checked the prices, and I wouldn't say that this is really extremely expensive if you think that this is actually a designer perfume and really long lasting eau de toilette concentration. So yes, I do recommend this one. The next one, let's talk about this one here, Male Le Parfum. I really love this fragrance a lot. In a previous video I mentioned that this is actually my signature scent, or somehow my signature scent, because I do wear a lot of fragrances and I layer a lot of my fragrances. I don't wear it on its own, but I'm not going to tell you with what, because I want this to be exclusively something I wear by myself. But yes, a very beautiful and oriental powdery fragrance. This is the more sophisticated flanker. This is more grown up and mature, and definitely very seductive. This is kind of mysterious, and as I said, you have that oriental vibe this fragrance is going to give you. When it comes to the notes, you have tonka bean in here, and you do get tonka bean a lot, and you also have lavender, but I don't really get a lot of lavender in this fragrance, but a lot of tonka bean, which I love. And I feel like the tonka bean makes this fragrance very sweet and creamy. And this is also very inexpensive. It's a little more expensive than the other one, but this is also an eau de parfum concentration. This launched 2020 as far as I know, so a little newer, like on the market. I knew about that fragrance, but I wasn't like sure what's going on with this one fragrance here. And when I tried it, I knew exactly, okay, this is a fragrance I have to have. I just have to have in my collection, and I really don't think I'm ever going to not have it in my collection. This is definitely a fragrance I would somehow say it's a safe blind buy and worth having a backup for. So yes, this is a big recommendation. The next fragrance. Let me talk about one of the most famous fragrances there is out there, and it's Baccarat Rouge 540, the Extrait version. And this is, I would say, my baby, and I just love this fragrance so much. I talk a lot about Baccarat Rouge actually on this channel because I think this is really a masterpiece. I prefer the Extrait version a little bit more over the other one. The only big difference is this is a little bit more dense. You have almond in this fragrance, and it's kind of more oriental, but there's not really big of a difference in my opinion. This is definitely a very seductive fragrance. This is unisex, so perfect for women and for men, in my opinion. It's really perfectly in the middle. I feel like a woman can pull this one off and a man can as well, and both are going to get a lot of compliments. Like this is, I feel like, one of my top 3 most complimented fragrances. So every time I wear this one, I get compliments, and of course, who doesn't want to get a compliment when they're on a date? So this is also a big recommendation. What else do we have here? Let's talk about For Him, Red Edition by Zara, because I said that this is a dupe for Baccarat Rouge 540. Honestly, what I've seen from YouTube so far, some people mention that this is actually a dupe for Callan by Parfums de Marly. In my opinion, it's still very similar to Baccarat Rouge, but so is Callan as well. This scent, it's very unique. It's kind of green in the opening. It's a very synthetic, kind of chemical. You do smell it, but after 10 to 15 seconds, it kind of dries down to a more Baccarat Rouge kind of scent. When it comes to the notes, you have the orange in here. You also have amber in here and Avernil, and you do get the orange. This is very bright. It's kind of it's also refreshing, but also sweet. But if you like Baccarat Rouge 540, you're definitely going to enjoy this one here, and so is your date. Like, if you're on a date, I feel like this is also a very inexpensive version for Baccarat Rouge 540. It's not as long lasting, but I do get around 7 hours, like 6 to 7 hours. And the thing is with fragrances like this, like all the dupes I know from Baccarat Rouge 540, it's like a game. Like sometimes you smell the fragrance, sometimes you're not smelling this fragrance. You kind of get anosmic to it. So it's really like this scent is playing a game with you. but most of the time people will still smell you and give you compliments even though you don't smell this fragrance on yourself anymore. So yes, we have three more fragrances here, and let me talk about Hot Water by Davidoff. I already talked about this fragrance as well. This was gifted by my boyfriend, so shout out to him. And the scent, it is spicy, kind of refreshing. It has a Davidoff DNA, but it's very different from the OG. When it comes to the notes, let me see what notes there is in here. So when it comes to the notes, you have the absinthe in here, and you have basil in here, you have the pepper, and you do get pepper. It's very, very spicy. It's kind of sharp in the nose, so when you spray it, don't judge it in like the first few seconds. Let this one settle down and work its magic, and then you know what I'm going to like, what I'm talking about, because this is very sexy, this is very sensual, this is seductive, this is definitely a bad boy scent, and wearing this will give you that feeling of freedom, like you want to go out and have fun. Maybe like this is something I would wear if like I'm somewhere out in the bar and then I want to go clubbing with my date. So this is definitely the scent I'm going to wear, or I would wear like on the date. So yes, this is Hot Water by Davidoff. Also a big recommendation, also very inexpensive. You can get this fragrance for around 20 to 25 euros online, and also long lasting. You get around 7 to 8 hours wearing this fragrance. So the next fragrance, one of my all-time favorites, it's Kirke by Tiziana Terenzi, and this fragrance, it's a fruity bomb, very musky. You have a lot of fruits in here. I personally get passion fruit and I get peach a lot in here, but you also have sandalwood in the dry down especially. And the funny thing is, in the summer it's very sharp and fruity, but in the winter and on colder days I somehow get that creamy sandalwood more. And you also have, as I said, the musk and the vanilla. This is a beast note fragrance, but this is also an Extrait de Parfum. So I get definitely around 12 hours plus. On close, this like lasts for a whole week. This definitely is room filling. This definitely is going to give you the opportunity of a big entrance. This is also one of my most complimented fragrances in my collection. And I would definitely wear this one like if I was out, maybe on like on the beach, if you're having a date on the beach, for example, or if you want to give off that vibe of you're being funny and you want to have a great time. And this is definitely something that's going to make you feel like you're more self-confident. I don't know, like this fragrance really boosts my self-confidence, which I do like, because I feel like it's great. And it's very interesting how a lot of like how fragrances actually can change your vibe. Like some fragrances you wear and you're more mysterious and laid back. Some fragrances you wear just to boost your confidence. Some fragrances you wear, for example, to get that cozy vibe, you know, like you're at home, maybe on a Sunday, it's rainy outside, and then you wear like a gourmand fragrance or vanilla fragrance. So yes, and the last fragrance I'm going to talk about is Joop Homme Edp, and this is one of my favorite fragrances. I have been wearing it, not really a lot, but you don't have to overspray. Like two to three sprays are actually enough with this fragrance. Let me show the atomizer. This fragrance, very beautiful, very creamy, very powdery, kind of synthetic in the opening. This reminds me of Naxos by Xerjoff mixed with 1 Million by Paco Rabanne, for example. Like it's like a lot of different fragrances mixed in one, and I love Naxos by Xerjoff. I also am a big fan of 1 Million, even though I feel like it's not really like the most original fragrance to have in your collection, but I used to wear 1 Million a lot when I was younger, like a few years ago, and to me this kind of makes me a little nostalgic. And it also smells a lot like the OG Joop Homme Edp, the pink version. And I do like the pink version as well, but in my opinion, it's a little too sweet and too powdery. This one is a little more versatile, also a little bit more grown up and mature. There are also a lot of great notes in here. You have hazelnut in here, you have cinnamon, you have cardamom in here, heliotrope, vanilla, cashmere, and tonka bean. So a lot of different notes in here, and it's very well blended in my opinion. Even though it's a little synthetic, especially in the opening, but if you let it dry down, it just gets better and better. And this is also a fragrance I'm recommending for a date night. So yeah, this is the review overall. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I would really love to know what are your suggestions for a date night, because I'm always looking for new fragrances to try, and I would really love to know. If you liked the video, then please hit the like button, comment down below what you're thinking, and don't forget to subscribe. And I hope to see you guys very soon for another review. Thank you.